Knowing who you are is important because it's important to be an individual in society. You have to know what makes you you and why do you stand out. What makes you an asset to society?
That you have a strong cultural, spiritual, and you have an awareness of self.
To have a strong sense of identity gives you some character and some intestinal fortitude to move forward. Those who are not strong in their identity, they seem to be a little lost and a little lackadaisical, pretty much wandering in a state of hopelessness and mindlessness.
I'm angry, I'm smart, I'm cool.
That's kind of hard because I don't really know.
Real, nice, intelligent.
A Black aspiring woman.
I identify myself as a positive youth in Baltimore, also as a role model.
I identify myself as an African American, but in order to identify myself as an African American, I must have some idea of my history.
You need motivation, encouragement, people to look role models.
I was the grandson of a sharecropper. I do identify with the hardship of those who have traveled before me.
If you had to ask other people about me, a lot of people would say I'm funny.
I've never really thought I was a nice person until I get around people and everybody, everywhere. You're such a nice guy, you're such a nice guy.
I looked up to numerous school teachers, the pastor in the church, pretty much anyone who was old enough to instill wisdom in me.
That's hard because none of them actually existed.
Power Rangers, who didn't want to be like the Power Rangers? They showed up on the scene at the right time, they always saved the girl.
Who doesn't want to blow up planets and crap?
Then they had like a synchronized dance.
I look up to my grandma because she has been through so much and she's always put people before herself. In some kind of way, she's always remained happy and confident in who she was.
I looked up to Mr. Al because he was the only dude around. He was like really a dude, like a manly man. I get off from work. I work at a place where I just build stuff, bare hands. And when I leave from work, I go hang out in a garage with my friends, put cars together and drink beers. Like I was always like, that's a man, like that's cool.
My role models as a child was one of my uncles. To me, that was the definition of a man. I felt like he had an answer to every problem. And I felt like he always overcame his problems.
My father was like my biggest role model. Like everything that he did, I wanted to do. He's really smart, really artistic. He was an artist in a lot of different senses.
I could say for my best friend, Ivy, like she has had a strong mother to teach her things, like, and I could really say like that's my example. She has always been disciplined to always do her work, always have everything on time, and she's just determined.
I don't think I have any like female role models who are like in their entirety who I would like to be like, but I think I kind of take bits and pieces from different people who I meet and different people who I've been exposed to in my life.
My mom was always by herself, so I always had like the hardest uplook to her. And I always knew my father, but he was never around, so I knew he was a nobody.
My mom, she was awesome for the most part when I was a child.
Who doesn't look up to their parents?
I think I do have a purpose. It's kind of strange to think you have a purpose but not know your identity, but I think my purpose is to help people.
I'll be doing stuff and I'll be with it. I'll be so about it, and this one thing will go wrong and I just be like, I don't care no more. I get angry. So I wish I had the follow through for most stuff that I don't have.
Living in Baltimore has had the most impact on my identity.
I have to say that I was quite a loner and sad and didn't know who or what I was until I started making friends around here.
I realized that not having a mother, like when I was young, I didn't see it as, oh, things are going to be like really bad now, but like I realized not having a mother, like I never had somebody to tell me like, oh, you should do this as a girl, a lady should carry herself a certain way. It's hindered me, like, I guess, as being a girl in some ways.
I never really found out who I was until I stopped messing with a lot of people, and I like broke down and I had to like dive into my mind for like a couple months and really find out who I was and what I was about.
I say what I need to do most to help develop my identity is gain confidence. I don't know how that's gonna happen, but I could see it happening in the future, but I just don't know how.
As far as I'm concerned, school is the foundation. This is where you come and you learn not only how to socialize and get along in life, but you build some tools that are life sustaining. So school is at the foundation. Now, as far as what goes on in schools, that's a whole different question.
Well, when I was younger, I went to private school my whole life until high school. So my elementary school was like was really important to, I think, my development as a kid. I went to a Catholic school that was majority black and was in the inner city. And I feel like the close-knitness, like it was a really close-knit school, and so like everybody knew everybody. My aunt was my pre-K teacher, my mom worked in the office. Like I knew all of the like staff and stuff like that. Like people were close, not just when they were at school, but they had like personal relationships outside of school.
School shaped me no way, shape, or form.
Elementary school, I learned, I felt challenged. Like the other kids were cool. We didn't beat each other up all the time and cuss each other out. When I got to middle school, it was a complete and total culture shock for me because I came from a small elementary school where it was okay to be like small and kind of nerdy or whatever. Not at all. I caught so many beatings there. I caught so much not knowledge there.
Elementary, middle school, I was real smart. High school, I kind of slipped off. So my identity of high school was just social skills.
Middle school was like really white. It was real like, kind of like a little bit more middle class, still some like kind of poor people. It was real weird. Like it wasn't like really white. It was like the administration was really white and the student body was kind of a mix. And so I think that it was just a kind of a little bit of a culture shock for me to like be surrounded and being taught by white people. I never had like until probably my third grade at my other school. I never had white teachers.
I went to a white school. My elementary year and my first couple middle school years, I was in the hardest white school I ever seen, behind the woods, in some bushes, behind some bushes. To come to the city and start going to school, nah, you gotta fight every day. And nah, school just makes you angry, really, really aggressive.
High school was really a culture shock as far as like being challenged. Like I feel like when I was in middle school and elementary school, people or like the teachers, administration people, they really expected a lot from you. And so when I got to public school, that was completely different. Like the expectations dropped.
It's basically just taught me what not to do, and it's taught me like discipline and like to be able to back up what you say.
The school taught me how to be quick with the words.
I feel like high school is where I kind of gained like an awareness of the difference in class and race and socioeconomic status.
It helped shape me by teaching me that like you can't just depend on whatever systems is there to help you to make sure that you got everything that you're supposed to have.
Some people say, well, it starts at home. Well, if they're not learning their culture at home and they're not learning their culture at school, and if that's coming in through TV and social media, then we're in trouble.
When I was young, like around the time when The Wire came out, I felt as though I had to be hard. I felt as though I had to be tough.
Building a strong identity begins with like foundation and having people there for you. I have had people there for me, but I haven't really had like a basis, like a strong foundation.
Dad to enforce things, I guess, and a mom to nurture you and teach you how to treat women, and your dad there to teach you how to be a man and how not to act and how not to do this, that, and the third. Without that, you listen to the next best thing, which is the media.
Not having a family impacted me because it made me, I guess it impacted me in bad way of not knowing, not having the, feeling like I have support, not feeling like I can go to somebody and be real comfortable with talking to somebody who actually knows me my whole life.
It's really hard to raise a kid without, a family. Like,
family is probably the largest impact, or the lack thereof. Like, I think that if young people have a really strong family foundation, then they usually can identify themselves with something, or, you know, like family, like that's what a family is for. Like, the child born into the world, then they give them all the information about who the family is, and therefore kids relate to that. And if you don't have that, then you don't have anything to relate yourself to most of the time. Like, most people who don't really have strong family foundation kind of struggle trying to find out how to identify themselves. Definitely the media, like TV, radio, advertisements, whatever, all the stuff that we like are looking at every day has a really huge impact on how people identify themselves and what things people want to relate to.
It's hard to raise a child with a strong sense of identity without a foundation at home. Children need role models and support at home to help build a sense of identity. Without a sense of identity, children tend to be lost and wonder about their lives, wonder about who they are. They're not confident. I didn't have my mother or my father. I really didn't have many positive role models to look up to. So you've heard my story. You see how hard it is for me. As I get older, I just always wonder about who I am, and I think that's because I lack a sense of identity. To help solve the problem, the growing problem of lack of identity within the youth, it first starts at home. We must invest more time and support into our youth and show them that they are important and that they do matter. And we must support them in everything they do to ensure that we raise confident, intelligent future leaders.